Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. We're here for a regularly scheduled town board meeting and a CDA meeting. As always, we will begin with the pledge. And Jody, it's your last board meeting, board meeting, and can you please take the lead?
Be my honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And today with us we have Reverend Brock Evans from Wading River Baptist Church, in keeping with our tradition of having a faith-based invocation. Thank you for being with us, Reverend. Appreciate it.
Okay, can we bring him up from the waiting room? And he's got to unmute your mic on the left hand. There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Reverend.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to turn my video on here.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Very
and
clearly.
welcome.
Okay. So, do you want me to go ahead and pray? Was
Sure.
Was that my cue?
Yes.
Yes, it is. It's all yours.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and definitely our prayers are to all of you during this time. So let's go to God in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this day that you've given us, Lord, that we have life and breath, and as your word says, in you we have our being. So Father, we thank you that you not only give us life and being, but we find that in you, and not only that, but we have a purpose, and you give us purpose, and you order the events of our lives, and you do all those things for a reason. And so today, as we begin, I would like to pray specifically for three things, Lord. I just pray, first of all, that you would give us your grace during this difficult time, for our individual families, for our government, for our elected officials, Lord, for our schools, our teachers, for our first responders, Lord, our pastors, and everyone, Lord, trying to manage what is going on. So, Lord, I just ask for grace generally, Lord. And secondly, Lord, I'd like to ask you today to be with the town as they meet. Give them wisdom. Give them your wisdom, Lord. And Lord, I understand that anytime we get a group of people together, there can be differences and disagreements, but we pray for your grace, Lord, and your peace, and we pray for unity, and that right decisions would be made, Lord. And sometimes when we don't know the answer, Lord, we just simply have to be loving and gracious to one another. And thirdly, Lord, I'd like to pray specifically for what's going on in our nation with this pandemic and how it's affected everyone, Lord. I pray that you would quickly heal what is going on in your way, Lord. We don't know all of what the answers should be and what you're doing. We know you have a purpose in it. But Lord, today we pray that you would heal us from this and we would be back to normal. And Lord, we don't look at this we don't look at this totally with regret, because we're in a different place than we were. And we know and we have learned lessons from what has happened and the fallout and the turmoil because of it. And we're glad for the strength that you've given us because of it. So we ask these things in Jesus' name. We pray you would bless this meeting and the rest of our day. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Same to you.
Great. Today we have several announcements. First, as we all are very aware, the COVID-19 infection rate has been continually rising across Suffolk County. It's incumbent that every one of us to heed the warnings and do our part to help control the spread of the virus, strictly by adhering to the 3 W's that we constantly mention: wash your hands, wear your mask, and watch your distance. Second, I want to thank the Riverhead Fire Department for their help this past weekend in driving Santa Claus all throughout the Riverhead Fire District. Despite their very busy schedule, I'm told Santa was able to drive through nearly almost every street in the district, and in doing so, put a lot of smiles in everyone's face, kids, elderly, the youth, and myself as we tagged along behind in one of the quadrants that they drove by. There were acres of smiles out there, and it was something that touched my heart to see people take a moment and enjoy themselves and shine. And kids look at lights, they were looking at the Santa and the lights, and they were jumping up for joy, and again, that was very memorable, and I thank them for letting me join them. This year, especially, with the local events, like the Riverhead Lions Santa Parade and the big bonfire being canceled due to COVID, Santa's appearance was all more special. Thank you again, the Riverhead Fire Department. And number 3, as most of you are aware, the weather forecast for our area indicates a snow event is expected beginning tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday evening, and will continue throughout the night into Thursday. Please prepare accordingly, and when possible, remove vehicles from the roadway to allow our highway department room to work. There is some uncertainty about how much snow we will get at the moment. We are gonna receive a briefing from the Weather Channel a little later this evening, and we'll have a better understanding. Here in Riverhead, I have personally spoken to the highway superintendent yesterday, and he has assured me that he is ready to address any snow that comes our way. Thank you in advance, Gio, and your crew, for being ready, standing guard, and we will be continually in touch throughout the day. I've made arrangements, if I can't get out of my home, that I will be picked up, and if we have to close town hall, we will notify all the radio stations, and also periodically put updates on our website. 4th, we encourage everyone to go online to the town's website and complete the town's law enforcement advisory panel survey. As of today, we have 920 people who have taken part in the survey, and you still have until December 20th, and I encourage all residents to please participate in this survey. And 5th, while we remain under state of emergency due to COVID-19, all public participation in town meetings and public hearings will be accomplished through the use of Zoom. Accordingly, the public may watch and/or participate in today's meeting by viewing it live on television on Channel 22, or viewing it live on the town website, and lastly, using the Zoom credentials that are posted on our town website. And number 6, and lastly, and equally important, today's town board meeting marks the end of a very special chapter for the town of Riverhead, and for this board. This is the last regularly scheduled town board meeting which Councilwoman Giglio will attend before moving on to Albany, since she was elected to the state assembly. Jody, you've served our town, our beloved town, for 11 years with enormous pride, spirit, and commitment to our residents and the issues that matter most to them. Despite our occasional differences in opinion, it has been a pleasure to serve the residents of Riverhead beside you, and I know you will accomplish great things once you arrive in Albany. I know you will continue to work for Riverhead and all its residents, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Once again, congratulations, Assemblywoman-elect Jody Giglio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jody, on behalf of the board, we'd like to present you with some flowers.
Oh, thank you so much.
We
That's
are seriously
gorgeous.
going to miss you.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that you've been a great tutor to me. When I first started and came on, you were very helpful, very knowledgeable, still are. And your work ethic. You attack everything you go to like it's the most important thing in the world. And I appreciate that, and the town of Riverhead appreciates it, and we're glad to have a friend in Albany.
Thank you so
Best
much.
of luck to you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you. They're beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
All right, this concludes the announcement section for today's meeting. I am now very pleased to deviate for a few minutes from our normal meeting agenda to formally acknowledge a local hero. We had intended to recognize this individual And there was some cross communication with attendance, and this came in late last night. Since we were gonna have the board present here, we decided to put the proclamation up. Okay, so,
Thank you so much.
Chip, do we have the sergeant?
Beautiful.
Okay, Sergeant Marcus Santana? Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
And thank you.
Thank you.
Today, it is my great pleasure to honor one of Riverhead's true hometown heroes, Sergeant Marcus Santana. He is a Riverhead High School graduate and a United States Marine Corps veteran who proudly served our country in the Middle East before becoming a local recruiter stateside. On November 24, 2020, Sergeant Santana was traveling on Flanders Road in Southampton when he stopped his vehicle to allow an elderly woman to cross the street. While crossing, the woman suffered an apparent medical episode, causing her to collapse and become unresponsive. Sergeant Santana immediately jumped into action and began providing CPR. Within moments, the woman regained consciousness and was transported to the hospital by ambulance. Sergeant Santana's quick and decisive action clearly saved the woman's life. This outstanding young man is a testament to the United States Marine Corps their values and honor, courage and commitment. On behalf of myself and the entire Riverhead Town Board and the citizens of Riverhead, I am proud to present Sergeant Marcus Santana with the proclamation honoring his heroism and bravery. Thank you, Sergeant Santana, and thank you for serving our country. And here is a copy of the proclamation, okay, and it can be picked up in our office. Do you have anything to add?
I'm just glad that I could help in the situation. Like, I would just hope that if it were my grandma or anyone else's grandma, that someone would do the same. And I was provided the training through my Marine Corps career, and I actually got to put it to the test and help save someone's life.
Well, those are very fine words, and I often live my life that if that was me, I try to live under the terms that I want to do for people what I want people to do for me.
Thank you.
Whether I'm this age and 15 years from now when I'm elderly, I have compassion for everyone, and thank you so much. Does anybody want to add in the board?
I'd like to say kudos to you for taking the time out of your day to be with us today for the proclamation, first of all, but certainly to have exhibited your training in such a keen way. You really embody what a Marine is all about. Not that I was ever a Marine, but every Marine that I ever met had that same fortitude, and I see it in you. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you as well.
Sergeant, thank you very much, first of all, for your service to our country, and secondly, to our community. We're so pleased to have you as a member of our community, and pleased to say that you graduated from our school system, and you went on to the Marine Corps. You served our country, you're still serving our country, and your heroic efforts on Flanders Road will never be forgotten. So thank you so much, and may God bless you, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Thank you.
I just want to say that you have made all of us in Riverhead very proud. And thank you for your service. And it's a true tribute to your parents and your parenting and your upbringing that you make a good example for our residents and for the youth of this community to know how important it is to stop and help someone when you have an opportunity to do so. So thank you for that and for being a great member of our community. Thank you. And God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Okay, so can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting and to enter to the community development agency meeting?
Did you want to approve the minutes first?
Yes, okay, why don't we do that? We can do that,
I'm
sure.
sorry.
Thank you. Chief, are you crying? It was moving.
I've never seen him cry. I think he had tears in there.
He's sensitive.
Yes, Diane, can you please read the minutes? approve that?
First and second for the minutes?
Yes, the first and second for the minutes, and get a vote, please.
Anybody?
Yes, so moved.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes from December 1st, 2020 Town Board meeting are approved.
Okay, so we're gonna now, was that for the CDA or the regular meeting?
No, that was the regular Town Board
Okay, so
meeting.
now we're gonna close the meeting. Can I have a first and a second to close the meeting and go into the community development meeting?
Motion?
Second.
Good. So move. Diane, can
You want to call the vote?
Yes. call the
Bayrock,
roll.
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Yes, we will now open the CDA meeting.
Perfect. Okay, our, Dawn Thomas, our CDA director, can you come forward, please?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So we have only one resolution on the agenda today regarding approval of the regular meeting schedule for next year. So the first thing we could do is approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 17th, 2020 at 2 p.m. We need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Second?
Tim, Jody, okay. Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved from November 17th, 2020 at 2 p.m. The only resolution is CDA 2020-9, establishes the regular time, establishes time of regular meetings of the Community Development Agency. Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second?
Okay? Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes of the time of the meetings next year is established, and I think we can open it up to comments from the public, if any.
Okay. Chip, do we have any comments concerning the CDA meeting? Any comments on the resolution? Are there any general comments?
It appears there were no requests for comments on that
At
one
all?
resolution, and then also no requests for CDA open comment either.
Okay. Anybody want to add to the resolution? No?
Okay, we have a motion to close the CDA meeting and open the town board meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay, the CDA meeting is closed. We will see you in 2021.
Thank
Okay.
you, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
Before we go to correspondence, I just want, if it's okay, I just wanted to say, I passed by the highway department today, and because you mentioned it in your opening comments, what an awesome sight to see all of the trucks and Sanders lined up. It looked like a
Yeah.
military,
Attack mode.
Yeah, it was really wonderful, and I know that they're ready to serve us whatever comes in the next 2 days, but I just wanted to give kudos to Geo and all the highway department, for being ready, for whatever impending weather comes.
Sure. Great.
Thank you, Frank, for bringing that up. Ditto to all of that. Yes.
Okay. So Diane, do you have any communications?
I do. Under correspondence, there was a letter from the Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition, and they're sharing a letter that they sent to the New York State DEC regarding the CMS Mine LLC. There was also a letter from Joan Zaniski regarding water district rate increase and surcharge. Another letter from the Greater Jamesport Civic Association with their concerns regarding George Young Community Center cupola, and also the Sharpers Hill Preserve. Under reports, the building department submitted their November monthly report, and that was $112,636.75. Town clerk, November monthly report, $11,835.95. And that's all I have.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
You're very welcome.
Moving forward, do we have any public, we don't, Devin, we don't have any public hearings today, correct? So we're gonna move on to
Correct.
the public comments on
On resolutions? Yep.
Okay, great. Chip, do we have anybody who wants to comment on the resolutions that are gonna be presented before us?
We do have a couple folks in the Zoom meeting room that are gonna make
Okay.
comments.
Fine. Okay, Chip, can you bring up,
Bob, did you wanna make?
Yeah, I was going to ask your indulgences. It was brought out to my office's attention that with regard to Resolution 2020-646, that the resolution, when it was placed into Granicus, may not picked up some of the changes that were consistent with this particular project, namely Long Island Solar Generation LLC. I have for the board and for the town clerk a corrected resolution which is accurate and addresses all the changes that, for whatever reason, did not get picked up with Granicus. So I'd like to approach the board, if I could, and the town clerk, and provide you with a copy of that resolution, the text, as well as the, again, the community benefit agreement. With regard to the benefit agreement, it had a termination date for a right to terminate by Long Island Solar in the event they did not receive site plan approval by February of 2021. I received an email from Stan Carey indicating that that would not be possible. As a result, we've deleted that from the community benefits agreement. It was in our draft that, our draft did not include that language. Apparently it was, again, one of the things that didn't get picked up on the Granicus when it was resubmitted. So I'd like to do that if I could with the board right now.
Yes. We're gonna vote on that today, correct?
If you see fit to, yes.
Yes, we need to move this
646 is
forward.
on the,
Yeah, so how large are the changes? Can we just adjust?
Well, the second page had included references to things such as an EI, a draft environmental impact statement, final impact statement, and that was not the case with respect to this particular project.
Can we put this up on the website, Gavin, make sure?
thanks, Bob.
Tell someone to put this up on the website, this is new information.
Okay.
You know, Bob, my concern here is that the public hasn't had a chance to see the revised version here.
Well, the community benefits agreement is substantially the same. It has
It is.
a very minor change, so the important document is still the same. It's the resolution which had incorrect references in it.
So it's a very minor for the community benefit, I think we're gonna stick with that if the board, the majority of the board agrees with me, let's make sure we stick with the community benefit agreement. And, that this has been disclosed many a times, what the conditions are.
Do you wanna go through line by line, Bob, and make the corrections so that the public can follow us?
Mm-hmm. And they'll have an opportunity, anybody who's listening, to make comments in the general.
Do we wanna we have somebody waiting, do we wanna let them speak?
No, we're gonna go through the changes to adopt it first. Bob, can you make the changes, please? Inform the public of the changes, please.
Okay. Again, the changes were on the resolution. If you look at 646, the resolution, beginning on the second page, at whereas it makes reference to, in connection with the project representatives, a full environmental, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong document. I'm mixing up
The community benefits, probably, yeah, I can see that.
And, all right, I don't know what I did with my copy of the resolution.
Can we get a copy? We can run off a copy if you have, do you wanna just talk about the community benefit and then we can run off a copy? Okay, she's getting a copy from the office. Her copy.
The changes were, all right, I think I may have the right document now.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at the resolution that was on the town website, again, turning to the fourth, whereas on page 2, it begins, whereas in connection with the project, representatives of Long Island Solar delivered to the town a draft environmental impact study, final environmental impact study, all prepared by VHB. And the planning board of the town of Riverhead, as lead agency, issued a formal scope regarding the project. Parens, the quote, study quote, and then there's a note that planning board required a supplemental environmental impact statement. That paragraph is coming out. That was not the case with respect to Nextera.
That's the eighth whereas, correct, Bob, on the original one?
It is the eighth whereas, correct. The next whereas will also, the ninth is also being deleted in its entirety. So that'd be the ninth whereas. The 10th whereas is similarly being deleted in its entirety. So the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, whereas also coming out. As I said, it was kind of substantial, so it's tough to go through them line by line.
I have it.
The very last paragraph on page 2, which makes reference to 165 acres, also is being deleted. And again, apologize for this. This was all done in Granicus. I'm not sure why it didn't take. And that continues over to the next page, which would have been page 3 of the resolution, and begins with the paragraph, whereas the town of Long Island Solar recognizes the project will provide a renewable green source. That is staying in. Now, in its place, if you go to the new resolution, which has been delivered to the town board, beginning at paragraph, the 8th whereas, it's now going to state, whereas the study, go up to the paragraph above that. Whereas in connection with the project, so this is being inserted instead of all those deletions. Whereas in connection with the project, representatives of Long Island Solar delivered to the town a full environmental assessment, EAF, together with appendices A through E, prepared by Long Island Solar, various experts, consultants retained by Long Island Solar. The study. Whereas the study identified the existence of wetlands, specifically 6 areas mapped by the DEC as state resources labeled and referred to as W1-W6 and as to W1, W2, W3, W4, and W5 were identified in the study as physically isolated resources without distinct surface hydraulic connections to the waters of the United States, and as to W6, which extends off-site to the north, it was reported that available mapping indicated it was likely isolated from the waters of the United States, period. The study also reported that none of the project components would directly impact any of these wetlands, and consequently, no USACE was required. And whereas the study also identified the project site was located within the Wild Scenic Recreational Rivers Corridor, Peconic River, designated as scenic, and the Long Island Solar received a WSRR permit from New York State DEC to develop and construct the project on the project site. And whereas the town planning staff, together with the Conservation Advisory Council, reviewed, in parens, the planning review and study, the proposed project, and the study referred to above, and considered following potential environmental impacts, disturbance and impact to soils, parens, Riverhead sandy loam, R small d, B, and R small d, uppercase A, and Haven loam, uppercase H, lowercase a, uppercase A, and possible sedimentation into freshwater wetlands. The town's limited large tracts of land available for agriculture and manufacturing / industrial uses such that the project may threaten said uses valued for potential economic growth of the town. And whereas the planning, review, and study considered loss or impact to topographic and environmental features, visual impacts on and along Edwards Avenue and the EPCAL recreational trail, and in addition to the planning, review, and study referenced above, the town identified and recognized that the project will result in the loss of agricultural production and the loss of topographic and environmental features within the town, and whereas the town also identified and recognized that the project will result in the loss of recreational opportunities that may have occurred with the continuation of the recreational use known as, quote, Long Island Sports Park, end of quote, and then it picks up and the rest is the same.
Bob, those are significant changes. Don't you think it's best to table to the next meeting and get this right? This is a really
This is correct,
This is an
and
important
frankly, the
document.
prior resolution had all incorrect references. Again, I can't explain why, but that the resolution before it was referring to, obviously, Riverhead Solar.
Right.
It was,
In fact,
we copied and moved and
right.
it didn't get in, so I don't think that the resolution as amended, obviously there are large changes, but the prior one was making incorrect references, this one makes the correct references, and again, I don't have a problem with the board moving ahead today. It's correct.
I mean, if it was one little change, but it's significant, because it was talking about Riverhead Solar. All right, well, I have questions, do other people wanna talk, or do we wanna let the community in, and then when we come to the resolution?
Oh, no, wait, let
I have a couple
me
of
run the meeting, on resolutions, let's not go back and forth and predict, we have the resolutions before us, we made a motion, so if anybody wants to, concur with your motion, the resolution
I
is
didn't make a motion,
here.
I didn't make a motion.
Oh, I thought you did, okay.
No.
good.
No, there was no motion.
Oh,
I
no.
had asked for leave to just submit this
Okay.
new resolution because of the changes. And again, I wish I had caught this earlier in the day so that I could have made the changes at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock.
Okay.
I
So
didn't.
you brought it up to, and it's collectively, what does the board wanna do with this?
So, can you just go through, Bob, and tell us which whereases are being stricken from the resolution that is in Granicus versus the resolution that we have?
8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, according to him.
All right,
took notes.
if we,
The first
all right, I'm
whereas,
gonna go,
let me, I asked Bob.
okay, you're gonna have to bear with me, I just covered it back up again.
It's okay.
All right. All right, so if we go to the resolution,
Okay, the new one,
no, if you go to the one that's on Granicus first,
okay,
and you go to page 2 of that resolution,
The fourth whereas,
start at the fourth whereas, the one that makes
Okay.
reference to the draft environmental impact study.
so that whole
That whole
paragraph
paragraph
is
is
coming
being
in.
deleted. So that's the 8th whereas. The 9th whereas is being deleted. 10th whereas.
Fifth whereas on page 2.
The 5th whereas on page 2. The 6th whereas on page 2. Or the 10th whereas in the document. The 7th whereas on page 2. Or the 11th whereas in the document. The next whereas, which would be the 8th one on that page. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 is being deleted. That would be the 12th whereas in the document. And the 10th whereas in that page, page 2, which would have been the 13th whereas. Continuing over to the next page. The following whereas, which begins, whereas the town and Long Island Solar recognize that the project will provide a renewable green source, remains in and stays the same. The proposed resolution that was just delivered to you for substitution would pick up where that change was on the one in Granicus, and the paragraph that begins, whereas in connection with the project, representatives of Long Island Solar delivered to the town a full environmental assessment, EAF, and continues that paragraph, the next paragraph, whereas, which makes reference to the wetlands, W1, W2, W3, W4, W5 is a new substitution. The next paragraph, whereas the study makes reference to Wild Scenic River is new. The next one is new. The following one is new. And then, of course, that next one is also new. And then we pick up, the next one is talks about the Long Island Sports Park. That's new. And then we pick up from where we're recognizing the project will not result in potential job creation, which is the second whereas on page 3.
Okay, we have to decide whether we're gonna accept this resolution with the verbal changes and the ones put up online today, or wait until the next board meeting to vote on it.
Don't we do this now, or Bob, do we do this now, or do we do it when the resolution comes up?
I again apologize, I'm being asked by the clerk how we can have this resolution in. So the question, I guess, is whether you want to table it, or whether you want to go forward. I know this is late, this is, you know, something that I have no good
Okay,
explanation
so
for.
why don't we do this? You know there's substantial changes, it is online, okay? Why don't you just call it and then let someone either table it or vote on it? Okay, because it's the only choice I believe we have, is that correct, Diane?
I'm sorry, I wasn't even focused.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's a lot
The
of.
best choices that we have right now is to call the resolution and either have it tabled or vote on it, correct?
Correct.
Correct, so that's our choices, it wasn't discussion, you made some of the changes, why don't you just keep it in the package and we'll move on the way we're supposed to move on?
Is the resolution up online now so that the public can see it and we
Yes.
can hold off on this resolution to the end?
It is, the
Give the public
resolution
time
that,
to review
that
it?
Bob just furnished is
Yes.
now up on the website,
Mhm.
yes.
Uh,
646.
646.
oh, 246 I have, but is 646?
Just to answer that question, yeah, it would be a substitution of the one that's 646 now, and it would be a new one that would come in line.
So I
I understand your
I
concerns.
see the exclusions and I see the additions, and I'm happy it's up online. I think that we should call this resolution last, and then ask the public if anybody would like to discuss the new resolution that's been presented before we vote on it.
I mean, I don't think
That's
that's
fine.
fair, I don't think that's fair to the public, but, you know, we can wait, like the supervisor said, we can wait till the time. And, I mean, I think it should be tabled. But we do this
If
at
it
the
does-
time it's called, right, Diane?
Well,
Okay.
we can call it last, there's no real order, and at that time, even if it's tabled, we can, make sure that the corrections are up and then have it up at the next board meeting. So, that's a choice for the board, so let's put it last. Diane, is that possible for us to put it last? It's
Okay.
not gonna ruin your sequence, and then we're all gonna decide, we know the changes are up, and we need to move forward with the resolution, so, Devin, can you please call the resolutions for today?
Well, if there's people from the public that wanna speak on the resolution.
Oh, they are, okay. I thought we missed that, okay.
Yeah, so we have a few people that are looking to make comments. We have the first resident up in the meeting room, and that's Barbara Blass.
Okay.
Chip, we can just unmute her so she can hear. Can you hear us, Barbara?
I can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
and
we
we can
can.
see you.
Wonderful, thank,
You're very,
I'm sorry?
you're very clear.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, 2 out of the 3 comments that I was going to make on Resolution 646 have already been addressed. So I'm very delighted to see that those corrections were made. But I did have one remaining comment or perhaps question, and it pertains to Article 3, page 84. Section 3.1, it's a phrase that's in both 3.1A and B, and it has to do with the fact that the town is obligated to send copies of all resolutions and reports on the disbursements of monies from the funds to Long Island Solar. And I was just wondering, why would we need to do that?
And I think I can answer that, and you know what, Barbara?
Supervisor, maybe I just want to make sure if Barbara has any other comments before we respond, or did you want to respond right away?
No, you can, and use up the 5 minutes, so that
Okay.
way we can.
Barbara, did you have any other comments or questions you wanted to ask of the board?
I don't, but thank you for asking because my comments were addressed already. Thank you,
Okay,
though.
very good, thank you.
So, does Anne Marie want to answer the question?
I did,
You wanna
I
answer?
did ask her to come in. I mean, I can assure you that anytime funds are used, you want to be able to show the provider that, in what way they were used. It's a matter of being transparent instead of, somebody utilizing those funds for a different purpose. And that's.
There has to be a nexus between the community benefit fund and the spending and the allocation of the funds. There has to be a nexus between the solar project and how the community benefit funds are being spent, is how it was explained to me.
Yeah, so Barbara.
And this agreement, that paragraph
Yeah, but
was,
did we
was
get the
similar
sheet
to what
for
was
that?
in the prior agreement that we executed with River Soul. I know that doesn't make it right per se, but as pointed out by the council person, we, wanted to make sure there was a nexus between the community benefits being utilized and the project.
So, Barbara, let's say you buy some land in Southampton, hopefully you don't, but if you happen to, and you provide $1 million, community benefits, I think you will wanna see how that money was spent.
So Anne Marie, the question was,
It's a question of accounting.
why do we have to report back to Long Island Solar how we're spending the community benefit funds?
It is a practice wherein the provider of the community benefit money is assured that the monies are actually being utilized to benefit the community. And the agreement signed between them actually earmarks the categories and gives a, albeit broad, description of how the monies are gonna be spent. And it's simply a method for them to be assured that they provided this agreement and these monies, and they are actually going to be used to benefit the community. It's not, the community benefit agreement is not an extraction on behalf of the town board to, quote, fund town government. It's for the community. And a way of assuring that is actually having these requirements in the agreement to make the world know and the community know by resolution, by reports of the financial administrator, that the monies are being in fact spent for the benefit of the community.
The checks and balances,
Absolutely.
that's all it is in accounting, making sure you have your receipts, your statements, and whatever you designate, you can account for the money. So,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anne Marie, the only thing, because in that section, it's actually Article 3, I think.
Yes, it is.
Article 3, like A and B talk about what you're saying, that they're gonna get copies of everything, but then C says Long Island Solar is not responsible for monitoring, administration, or disbursements.
Correct.
Yeah,
The onus is not on them, the onus is on the town of Riverhead.
But they get
We have a
information.
responsibility, we are agreeing in this agreement to spend the funds pursuant to the identified categories and the purposes. If the town fails in that matter, the onus is not on Long Island Solar to the community, it's on behalf of the town of Riverhead. It is our responsibility to handle the funds in appropriate and judicious manner.
let me say it differently and take it out of the community benefits analysis. This is really an accounting clause when you think about it. A is giving B monies for a certain purpose. B is saying, we're going to let you know, A, how those monies are used. Whether you decide to look at how we use those monies, we're not putting an obligation on you, which is what subsection C says. So if you kind of understand it just that the generic fashion, we're getting money, we're telling the individuals who are giving us the money for this purpose, that we will account for it, and there's no obligation on their part to, you know, look at what we do and how we account. That's what it's saying.
Was this in the Riverhead Solar Agreement as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Anne Marie.
And it's also basically just saying that, you know, you're giving us $1.5 million, and we're not gonna use it to offset tax increases by paying salaries. We're gonna use it for a community benefit.
That is exactly correct.
And back to what I said before, confirmed by Bob, again, it's an accounting practice, there's a basic accounting practice. That
Okay. Thank you, Anne Marie, for clearing that up. And Bob?
Okay, Supervisor, I think we have somebody else in the meeting room looking to make
Sure.
comments.
Barbara left, I didn't know if
She was
done.
finished. She indicated she was finished. She had no other comment.
Mhm.
So we have John McAuliffe. We'll bring him up next.
Okay. John, you need to unmute, left-hand side. Actually, your right, my left.
John, if
Actually,
you
it
can
is on
hear
the
us?
left usually anyway. John, unmute and turn on your video. 3 dots on the right-hand side of your screen.
Okay, looks like we do not have Mr. McAuliffe. He had indicated he would.
I'm,
Oh, there he is.
there I am.
Hello.
Okay.
And I have to get my video on. Okay.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Mr.
All right,
McAuliffe, we'll just
thank
take
you.
we'll just take your Hamlet from you, please, and also
Oh,
just a
sure,
reminder, you'll
John
have 5 minutes
McAuliffe.
to make all your comments.
Yep, John McAuliffe. I'm in the Rolling Woods section of Riverhead, and one of our dogs just decided to join the conversation. Speaking to 638, the resolution for the part-time executive assistant, and I'm certainly not objecting to the idea of the supervisor having an assistant, nor to Mr. Wooten being that person. I have tremendous admiration from having seen him in the board and spoken to him around board meetings. But I am curious if you could explain that the resolution doesn't say what the Riverhead local article said, which his job designation is to be working with senior citizens, which is an admirable purpose, but I'm wondering whether you also considered, especially in the COVID crisis period, if there were other roles that he could play for the benefit of the town, whether you started out with feeling there was a need for somebody in senior citizens work and found Mr. Wooten for it, or you started out wanting to make use of his skills and relationships and decided that would be the most appropriate role for him. Any rate, I just, a little background would be helpful as to the process of creating this position and his designation for it, and whether you're still open to thinking about whether that's the highest priority use for his talents.
Okay, is he done?
Are you finished, Mr. McAuliffe? Any other comments?
I'm finished, that's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And John, thank you for bringing that up. There's been a lot of conflict or misunderstanding along the way. I had a part-time line in my budget in my office, and the person did not return after COVID for personal reasons, and she did not return, and I kept that line open. And now that it looks like we are possibly closing down, we are getting a lot of calls from seniors as far as services that they need. We do have a wonderful senior center. However, when we did close, we had our office started the SAFE program, the Riverhead SAFE program, where seniors could get essentials and groceries and medicine, and that was actually run from my office. My legislative assistant created the program. After we saw things opening up, some of the seniors have not utilized They have been calling our office, we need this open, we're scared, and that's not all that we did concerning SAFE. There were people who would call us, were ill, claiming that they felt that they would, gonna pass away, their children were in California, and it was very difficult on my staff. Sometimes we did visit ourselves, with caution, and sometimes we sent the clergy, we had a whole, scouting process to get the clergy involved, and at one point, we were able to be stable, and we had a list, and churches and people who would visit and provide someone who couldn't get to the bank. And these are things that, under COVID, we weren't ready to prepare, we weren't ready or prepared to handle. Mr. Wooten, I think, I know for a fact that he is well-liked in the senior community. He's also known, and this is was very impressive to me, that when the seniors needed something during emergencies, he has a CDL license, and he can drive those trucks, and he can bring food to those people. And when and the deliveries for the SAFE program, and I know Mike Foley always advocates for it, that was done by the police department, or two members of the police department. They weren't police officers, but they were one of them was the school crossing guard. Our schools were closed, and we utilized them, and sometimes we did it, and in dire emergencies, we sent the police out. So that's gonna stabilize things if we get to that point, but that's not his only job, and he's gonna have many more jobs. We don't have a catalog here, some type of booklet that we can say in emergency, go here, if you need, you have a problem with your water, go here. So we wanna do a town-wide, directory, for assistance for all residents. So he's been tasked with that, and he will have other responsibilities. Concerning the actual job designation, at one point, I think there was an error with the personnel department when we put in the resolution, and we just adjusted that title. He will, Mr. Wooten will be here to assist the entire town, and he'll be under the direction of my office. And when we do, if we have to go, keep town open, but close it to the public, he's gonna be in the front line, and I expect him to drive those buses when we need him to. And, that would be outside of his scope, but I'm sure, and he has assured me, if we need anything delivered, that he will do that at that time. And as we move forward, the taxpayers, this is taxpayers' money, and I'm gonna ensure that the taxpayers are gonna get what they need. And, we have some great ideas to move it forward. And, I'm gonna have Anne Marie come forward as far as the, Mr. Rex had indicated the title and the Riverhead local. Did you hear that question at all?
But I can field it anyway.
Okay, you can field it, sure.
So the town board, some members of the town board were actually on the town board, so they may recall that during Sean Walters' administration, in the first week of January of 2010, he filled the position and labeled it and if I get it wrong, there's so many different terms. I think it was part-time legislative assistant. And it was also described as exempt. The correct way to describe that position then and now is actually confidential, and it was the goal at that time to also have it at an at-will position, serving at the pleasure of the supervisor. Thereafter, and continue up until 2018, under the former supervisor Laura Jen Smith's administration, she too sought to fill that vacant position. When I saw that those resolutions, and again it was termed part-time legislative assistant, versus the resolution in January of 2020 under the current supervisor's administration, I made inquiry to the personnel director in addition to doing research on the matter. The personnel director explained to me that at the time, back in 2018, civil service informed her they didn't want to, quote, approve that position of part-time legislative assistant because it simply didn't exist. But the then supervisor prevailed upon her, and ultimately that resolution was adopted by the town board. Probably no members of the town board were aware of the pushback from civil service and the non-existence of that title. So in January of 2020, she took it upon herself, really at the behest of civil service, knowing the background in 2018, to create a different recognizable title. And she did it at, I believe without fully explaining or vetting the issue to the present town board and the current sitting supervisor, and created the position as a part-time office assistant. That is a title recognized by Suffolk County Civil Service. However, unlike the present position, which is actually more accurately tailored to the description of duties that the supervisor has expounded to Mr. McAuliffe and other members of the press, the part-time executive assistant, those duties actually match with an existing civil service recognized position of part-time executive assistant. What is really most significant, perhaps, not for me, but for the supervisor and the town board, is without question that position, this position, part-time executive assistant, is an at-will position.
Understood.
Serving at the pleasure of the supervisor.
Understood. So in summary, the old resolution was a civil service title. The supervisor has a budget with a monetary amount, which I believe that the supervisor.
$10,000.
You're less than what past supervisors had in their
Yes.
budget.
She
Wow.
is, the prior resolution in 2018 was $20,000 annually. This resolution is half, 10,000.
Right, I
And
know.
Laura Jens was less than the previous administration.
Right, so we're cutting back the supervisor's budget and not calling that person a civil service person, so that if the supervisor should lose an election, they are not stuck with that civil service employee in their office when it's a confidential position.
Well, I agree with you, except losing.
No, well, I'm just saying, in subsequent years, or not losing, not running, whatever it may be. If that same supervisor is there, they don't have a civil service title in their office when it should be a confidential position.
Yes. So, but really importantly, civil service has fully vetted this issue and reviewed the duties and approved them, reviewed the goal of the at-will status, and worked with the personnel director to actually move it forward correctly.
Okay.
The past, actually, civil service informed her was not correct.
There's a long history, and as we
Right.
explored, bringing on the employee, we started discovering this whole thing.
Yeah.
But now we have it, it's sealed, it's tight, and it falls within all the parameters, it's civil service.
So, everybody clear?
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Anne
Okay,
Marie.
do we have anyone else, Devin?
I don't think we do. I think that's it, right, Chip? Was that for open, or was that for resolution? Well, I think he had indicated he wanted to, we have one other gentleman, but he indicated he wanted to speak at the end during open topics, so I think that's it for resolution comments, Supervisor.
Yes, it would be it. So, no more questions on the resolutions before us. Devin, can you please read the resolutions?
I think Diane will do that.
Oh, Diane, I'm sorry. That's pretty good.
Resolution 630.
Refund request of special event application fee for Long Island Moose Classic Car Club, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 631.
forgives repayment of the outstanding balance of a Town of Riverhead Community Development Department home improvement loan conveyed to the recipient assigned to CDA/AHS loan number 9F as in Frank 26 of 2006. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 632.
Police Department budget adjustment, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 633.
Ambulance district budget adjustment, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 634.
Accepts the resignation of a public safety dispatcher 1, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're losing a very good dispatcher. Nothing but the best to Christian going on to his new position.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 635.
Promotion of police officers to the position of detective grade 3, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes, and congratulations.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, congratulations to Detective Anderson and Detective Freeborn.
Giglio.
Absolutely, yes. And congratulations.
Aguirre.
Yes, congratulations.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 636.
Appoints a water treatment plant operator 11B, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
And welcome aboard to Benjamin. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, congratulations on moving up to the 2B position and on the exam they had to take to get there. So congratulations, Benjamin.
Giglio.
Yes, please stay. We need you in the water district.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, this is a very astute position, and I hope they stay with us, and best of luck and welcome aboard.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 637.
Appoints a water treatment plant operator to B, so moved.
Second?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
And congratulations to Sean. Yes.
Hubbard.
Same thing, congratulations to Sean on the 2B.
Giglio.
Yes, congratulations, and we're happy to have you.
Aguirre.
Yes, welcome aboard, congratulations on passing your exam, and say yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 638.
Ratifies the appointment of a part-time executive assistant in the supervisor's office, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 639.
Appoints marriage officer Diane Wilhelm.
Yes.
So moved.
Vote please.
Seconded?
Okay, vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, I have a question. How many marriages have you
I've,
performed?
in total, over 1,000.
Wow.
How many are still married?
I don't, I
Oh,
can't
so
answer that.
negative.
I had to ask.
Oh,
I knew the same, I bet.
Trying to get a batting average here.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 640.
Appoints marriage officer James Wooten, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I bet Jim and Diane could tell a lot of good stories. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, you both do a wonderful job at these
Thank
wedding
you.
ceremonies, and a lot of people wanna come to Riverhead, and we've had some recent changes I'm aware of, in that the townships are saying you have to be a resident of that town in order to come and get your marriage, license and get married here in the town of Riverhead. You have to be from Riverhead, and a lot of the towns have adopted that due to COVID.
Yeah.
But, I thank you for always being open-armed, you and Jim, and, for the
welcome.
ceremonies that you do. I've seen a few of them, and they're wonderful. So
And
thank
it's-
you for everything you've done.
Thank you. And it's great to have Jim as a helper with this, because there's, as you can tell, there's so many. Aguirre.
Yes, absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 641.
Reappoints Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe LLP as bond counsel for 2021, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent? Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 642.
authorizes the town supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with Lawrence M. Levy, DBA On-Site Productions. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 643.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute aircraft loan agreement with the Department of Navy, F-14A Tomcat and an A-6 Intruder. So moved.
Vote please.
Seconded.
Oh, second vote please.
Okay.
I'm trying to move this along.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
I love seeing these two aircraft in Calverton. Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 644.
Authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement non-pro-tunc with the National Fire and Safety Solutions Incorporated. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 645.
Agreement for transcription services, Arlene Boble. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 646.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute community benefits agreement as amended. So moved. And I'd like to call to table on this. The reason is, I think it would only be a few weeks away, and that actually takes in a holiday period, so I don't think it would make a huge difference in everything. You know, if there were a few changes, it would be fine to amend it, but it's a large amount of changes. And I think we ought to give our town attorneys an opportunity to look it over, and I would be more comfortable if we tabled it and waited on it. I moved it. Does anybody want to second it?
Bob, I just have a question. Is this extremely time sensitive?
I would like to vote on it.
I-
I've been
I-
working
I'd
on
like to
it
vote
for.
on it.
Let me, I'm gonna avoid the question a little bit. That while there were a lot of changes made, they were to correct what was an obvious deficiency and mistake made on the one that made into Granicus, because it was referring to Riverhead Solar. In this case, I think the more important document is the Community Benefits Agreement, which, with the exception of that cancellation clause in it, was and is the same. So the more important and significant document is the Community Benefits Agreement. With the changes, while they were numerous, again, I would take, I guess some issue with whether they were substantial or not, because now they correctly identify the Community Benefit Agreement that's actually being voted upon by the town board.
Well,
Whereas if you took up the other resolution and passed it, it would have been containing many misreferences.
Well, we're gonna bring it to vote. There were minor changes, and there wasn't substantial changes on this one, there were on the other, so we'll just bring it to vote, and who
All right,
wants to say no?
I'll defer to you.
Okay, thank you.
So I made a motion, we move resolution number 2020-646. Well, I want to have discussion if we're not tabling it. I have a question about it. Is this when I would do
Sure.
that?
Yes. Go ahead.
All right, so just, first I had questions about some other things, but a lot of them were answered. Yeah, just wondering why, Bob, we did add this section in about no termination where, let me just go to the section. If they, and of course it's going to the planning board now, so if, I don't know what's going on, Larry.
Okay.
I got some feedback up here. So if they don't receive final approval of their site plan by February 4th, 2021, it says the respective obligations of Long Island Solar under this agreement to make deposits into the fund shall terminate upon the payment in full of all amounts due. So I think that's sort of putting, our planning board in a difficult position. That's a fast turnaround, and they don't even have that many meetings, so I'm wondering why that was added.
It's actually, if you look at the final agreement that I handed up to you, it's not there.
Oh, right.
It's not
I
there.
didn't notice that
And in
it got
fact,
left
and in
out.
fact, the one that had been put on Granicus didn't have it, again, for reasons that I cannot
Right.
explain, whether we had a computer issue or not. It didn't make those changes. It's not there.
Okay,
And
good.
furthermore, the resolution, yeah, it's not gonna be in there. We, as you point out, that's a short timetable. Chairman Carey did reach out by email today to express his concerns about that. And the document you have in front of you today, the one that was finally circulated, has it out. It's not there.
Well, I'm glad he spoke up, because I just thought that really put them in a difficult
No,
position.
it's not there.
I wouldn't want our board to do that to another board.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's been moved only. I don't think it's been seconded, the resolution.
Seconded.
Okay, please take a vote.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
I'm gonna abstain because I would have liked to have looked over everything. I think it's, probably right, but I think I don't really wanna rush it through.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes, and this is a tremendous amount of money that will be infused into the community, and the community has been waiting many years for improvements to parks and things of that nature, and I think, and education for our fire department and our ambulance and police. I think it's a great thing. I'm happy that I'm able to vote on it today. Yes.
Aguirre,
And thank you, Assemblywoman elect Jody Giglio. That was my intention when I put this legislation forward, is to identify the individuals who are gonna directly benefit from this. And I thank you to those board members who supported this resolution. Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 647,
Authorizes agreement with CSC Holdings LLC. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes, and I understand that with this new agreement, Dan, was this your agreement?
Yes.
Okay, we're saving $16,000 then. At a minimum, yes. And you're doing a great job with the agreements. I could see them always going down in cost, when in reality, they should be going up. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
resolution adopted. Resolution 648,
Authorizes the supervisor to sign an agreement with Capital Markets Advisors LLC, CMA. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 649,
Authorizes the supervisor to execute approved memorandum of understanding with utility easement between Long Island Solar Generation and the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Bob, that was amended too, right? Bob,
Sorry, was that?
that one was amended, or those changes were before it went in?
The changes were fine. I checked with what was done, and it was consistent with what's before you.
Okay, yes?
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 650,
Extends contract for information technology with Total Technology Solutions. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 651,
Approves execution and submission of grant application to Suffolk County for fiscal year 2021 Community Development Block Grant Funds. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 652,
Extends bid for water meters and accessory equipment on reasonable equivalent and repair to meter reading equipment for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 653,
13 Sebastian Drive, Capital Water Project, number 82056. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Not happy about this 2-inch service. I'm gonna vote no.
Aguirre,
Yeah, but I think the cost is, the owner is on the client. I don't think,
It's supposed to be a domestic line, in my opinion,
Uh-huh.
and I brought it up at the work session.
Yes,
In my
you did.
opinion, a 1-inch main is a domestic water service, and seeing as we're having problems with our water district, the 2-inch main or 2-inch service is going to provide a lot more water to that residence. It is a home that is occupied by many people, and I just think that it's a tough time for our water district, and so that's why I'm voting no.
Okay, I'm gonna vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 654.
Authorizes execution of water service agreement with Jeffrey and Judith Rockcamp, Calverton, New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Jeff and Judy are good friends of mine, and I want to say hello to them. Yes.
Kent.
You're right, Frank, and they have delicious corn. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Sorry, Horace,
Yes.
but I like Rockdale.
Giglio.
This is the domestic service, right? Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 655.
Affirms recommendation of the Conservation Advisory Committee and denies appeal of Phoenix Home Buyers LLC for a wetland permit regarding 48 Willow Street, Aquabog, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-87-1-14. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes, and thank you to the CAC.
Kent.
So I'm happy to back up the CAC on this matter and also protect our wetlands. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, great job, CAC. We appreciate it.
Giglio.
I actually went by this property and I can't even imagine taking down all those phragmites and the environmental concerns, and it flows all the way down to the bay, and so I'm going to support it as well, yes.
Aguirre.
Jody, I just wanna make note, did you see the car on the porch? I don't know how they got a car onto the porch. I was over there this weekend,
This is
looking
fake.
at it, so I am going to thank the CAC, and I know the town attorney's office had to do a lot of work on this, and thank you, and I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 656.
Ratifies acceptance of donation of disinfectant from Home Depot. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yeah, I looked at the resolution, that's a lot of disinfectant, so I wanna say thank you to Home Depot, I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, thank you, Home Depot.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, thank you again, Home Depot.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 657.
Authorizes purchase of two 2021 Kenworth Model T370 dump trucks with central hydraulics, reversible plow, and stainless steel spreaders. So moved.
Second.
You always get those.
Vote
truck
please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Can you get them by tomorrow? Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, the purchasing agent has confirmed that the proposed purchase meets all the criteria set forth in the town's procurement policy, so I will vote yes.
Aguirre.
And I concur, it did go through the procurement officer, and I understand the money's coming from the fund balance, correct? Is Bill here? Yeah. Perfect, he's got the money in it, and good luck.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 658.
Rejects bid and authorizes publish and post new bid for food and meat. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 659.
Authorizes additional compensation for Justice Lori Hulse. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Absolutely yes.
Kent.
Yes, Lori works hard.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and thank you for trying to step into, Judge Smith's shoes. That's a very difficult thing to do, and now Sean Walter is gonna step into those shoes, and this is well-deserved monetary compensation for holding both courtrooms. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 660.
Extends contract with Arthur J. Gallagher and Company, Risk Management Services for the implementation of insurance program for 2021. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 661.
Memorializing resolution in support of Assembly Bill A08936 and Senate Bill S06868 as it relates to the Public Service Commissioners PSC authority to implement and enforce audit recommendations. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
And I'm happy to join with our neighboring towns in doing this. We definitely need more oversight, more accountability from our utilities. I'm appreciative that Assemblyman Thiel, moved this forward. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and thank you, Catherine, for bringing this forward.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 662.
Resolution to support and advocate for preservation of Broad Cove. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes, thank you to the Open Space Committee for your hard work and perseverance.
Kent,
Yes, thank you, Frank, and our great open space, committee, because this is such a beautiful piece of property. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes, ditto to what they both said.
Giglio,
Yes, I'm glad that we are adopting this resolution. Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and now we don't have to see any prospective plans.
Resolution,
Okay, yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 663.
Pays the bills.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Giglio,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, thank you, Diane. This concludes our resolutions for today. At this point, we will open up the meeting for public comments. Chip, do we have anyone in the audience?
We do. Supervisor, we have at least one, if not two, folks in the meeting room. We'll bring up first Mike Foley.
Sure.
Mr.
Yes,
Foley,
good
can you hear
afternoon.
us?
Good afternoon. Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and No Civic Association.
Okay, just to remind you, Mr. Foley, you'll have 5 minutes to make all your comments, as usual, after which the board may or may not respond. Thank you.
Yvette, I want you to know what happened here at the start of this meeting. I entered the chat room. I raised my hand as I have at every other public Zoom meeting that I've attended.
Okay.
Apparently, the protocols were changed where I had to chat that I was interested in speaking. Unfortunately, when you go into a room like this, if you don't hit chat, you don't see the narrative. So when I realized you were moving on after the comments, I notified the chat host that I wanted to speak on the resolutions. She told me, well, you should have chatted me. And I said, well, I haven't, but I wanted to speak on 646. And 3 different times, after Bob had made numerous changes to 646, there were other discussions made. And during that time, I chatted 2 or 3 more times to the host to please ask her to let me in before 646 was voted, and I was ignored. So I want you to know, I spent a couple of hours on 183 pages of that agenda packet. Bob was speaking about page 2 and 3, making it impossible for me to follow. And I had no chance to come in on 646 Article 2, 3, 4, and 7. Comments that I felt would have strengthened this bill and given the board pause for thought on some of the things that they were going to make. But seeing that this is now made moot, I'll confine my comments to one thing in the hopes that maybe the board will be able to do something for the landscaping companies in Riverhead that was not dealt with on this packet. I'll refer Bob to page 85 on the bottom of Article 4, the last paragraph. I'll read it. Long Island Solar agrees to exercise best efforts to invest in the local economy by making purchases from Riverhead-based businesses for landscape materials required for planting and screening along the perimeter of the project and portions of project visible to pedestrians and motorists from Edwards Avenue, Epcal Recreation Trail, and adjacent properties, period. When you give Long Island Solar the ability to use best efforts instead of stated that they will use Riverhead landscaping companies, you're giving them discretion to not use our Riverhead landscaping people. Our Riverhead landscaping people can give them everything that they want to handle the borders of this project, not only to install it, but to maintain it for the next 30 years. So in my opinion, to strengthen this for the betterment of the Riverhead landscaping companies, they should be the only people that NextEra goes to. And if you change the writing on the last paragraph to strike, to exercise best efforts, and have the front line say, Long Island Solar agrees to invest in the local economy by making purchases from Riverhead-based businesses for landscape materials required for planting and screening, and to add after screening, insert, and maintaining for the duration of the project, the perimeter of the project, that'd probably guarantee a couple of $1 million in business solely for the Riverhead people, because the town board had the ability to stop them from using their own discretion to the detriment of the businesses in Riverhead. This is a very simple thing to change. I don't know if it's too late to change, because the resolution has already been passed on as voted. That's one of 4 changes I felt were critical to making this a better bill, and I was not heard on a technicality that was inserted for this meeting. After every other meeting I attended was that way. And I'll say it again, I don't know who the host was, Yvette, but I chatted 3 times before the resolution was voted on to please let me into this so I could at least speak on these 3 things, and I was ignored until now. And I just feel it was unfair, and I feel that the resolution that you passed has flaws, F-L-A-W-S, in it, that will come back to bite us over the next 5 or 10 years if we can't fix them. So I'd like to know what we can do to fix those things. Before you ask me, because I know once I stop talking, my 5 minutes will be up and you go on saying the other things that you want to say. Jody, worked with you a lot for 11 years. We've agreed on most, we've disagreed on others. One of the things I agreed with you most on, that is in this resolution to the detriment of the town, is that we do too much money on studies and not enough time on implementing things. That was always one of your things, and I agree with you 100%. We're studying things to death, which is resulting in paralysis through analysis. And what I'm saying on the distribution of these funds right now is that the reasons to use this 1.5 million on 6 items selected by the board, rather than to put this into a block grant forum, you guys missed a real opportunity here. If you cut that 1.5 million into 100,000 a year for 15 years and applied for block grants so that communities could come in with stuff that are shovel ready, you don't have to pay experts, you don't have to do studies. All you have to do is evaluate, is this worth spending for the benefit of the community? We could have had something here, not only for the community, but a recognition every year that NextEra contributed to this because we negotiated a community benefit money, and it's going to be gone in a year. And the money that's going to be gone in a year, a majority of the money, let me make a prediction, a majority of the money is going to go to administration and to subject matter experts and temporary jobs, none of which will benefit the shovel-ready things that we have in this town. And it's not mentioned. So again, I'm very, very disappointed in this. And again, for Jody to say all along that we have this money here, but we're killing it, we're just squandering money on studies. Couldn't agree with you more, Jody. And if you take a look at the 6 items, 4 of them talk about being able to pay out of the benefit funds money for administration, money for salaries and subject matter experts. Jody, you know, ultimately that money is a waste of the community benefit money. And that is money that should be looked at. You could cap it. No more than 10% of the funds will be used for administration or things like that. So we know 90% of the $1.5 million goes where it was intended to go. We really missed the boat here on the community benefit disbursement here. I really believe that. And I've got a lot of other things to say too that I was going to reserve for the comments section, but I really felt very important to at least bring this out to you. Probably too late. I don't know that much about local governance. If you could go back and try and make these changes for the betterment of the town landscaping people and for the benefit of the community that could really use this money if it was appropriated according to what the community wanted, not what the town thought, what the town board thought was in their best interest.
All right.
I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Appreciate your comments.
And if I can just say that they are still before the planning board, and provided that the landscape plan that's submitted for the buffering, that those plants could be bought locally, that could probably be dictated in the planning board final resolution.
And I agree with Jody, and this is not the end, of, community benefit money. There are other projects where we will be getting money, and I think, Mike, you have a great idea, I actually will reach out to you and see what recommendations you have for next community benefit, and I thank you for bringing that to light. Concerning the, landscaping, it's something that I'm sure that we can be addressed. We'll speak to our legal department and see how, we can put in that wording. I think it's very, very good, and you should be able to use local resources before you go outside of Riverhead. And we do have a lot of landscapers here, and we do have a lot of farms here, and I think, it'd be great to support the community in that regard. Concerning, access to the computer, I am very sorry that that happened. At one point, if you go back and you look at Channel 22, we did call you up. And was that during the resolution comment time where there was no response?
Yes, that's correct. We had been under the understanding that he wanted to comment during open comment.
Okay.
But just for the record, there were no changes made to the policy with respect to how folks can get into the Zoom room or make comments.
Yes.
We've been using the same system now for I don't know how many months.
Right.
And it's posted every 2 weeks when we have the town board meeting. The credentials are posted together with the instructions on how folks can make comments. So I can't speak to how Mike previously made comments, communicated with our IT team, but I do know that the directions are explicitly on the website for everybody to use.
Yes, and at one time earlier in this meeting, we did call his name, and was
We did.
that was during the, it was during the comment section, and there was no answer, his mic was off, so
Right.
maybe, and it can happen, he stepped away and didn't know that we were calling him, but he's always welcome to write, his recommendations and to, write to the clerk's office, and we get a copy of his mail, and, we try to address it, and, we'll speak to the attorneys about, the resolution 646.
So I just want to, Mike brought up some good points there. That's actually in Article 4. In the other one, it's been revised since then, so I don't know if that, I think it's still Article 4 though, right,
It is,
Marie?
it hasn't been revised.
Yeah, there are 3 things there, that Long Island Solar will make the best effort to use local landscapers and materials. Employees will be encouraged to support local businesses, and that Long Island Solar will give best effort to hire local workers. I don't know if you wanna address that now, or you wanna wait?
We try to do the best we can, but we can't,
Right.
obviously tell somebody to use
Well, that's
local or
what I
not,
was-
not local.
Right.
That would probably be considered tortious interference with contract rights.
Okay.
There's other considerations too, but certainly that would be something, we can certainly suggest and work with them to do the best they can to use local, but, I don't think we can say you must or else.
Yeah, 'cause it has to be competitive.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to inquire about that, because we did talk about how, one of the issues with solar farms is that they don't bring a lot of jobs later, they only have a few people working there, but during the construction period, we've been told they use as many as 100 construction workers, so.
Yeah, and
right.
further, I understand that they use local too for those trades.
Right, they
Yes.
use the local unions, just
Yeah.
as S-Power did.
Yeah, correct.
I hope so. Okay, thank you, Bob.
I think it's a requirement of the PPA that they use the local unions.
Just wanted to touch something that Mike said. He referred to administration fees that were gonna be used out of the community benefit fund, and that's not correct. Administration fees, it's not being used for administration, it's being used for upgrades for equipment for the ambulance, training for the fire department, some training for the police department, so on and so forth. It's not administrative fees that are being used. I just want to clarify that.
I do wanna say, for community benefit, I do think it's a good idea if the community had more of an opportunity to weigh in on it. I had said that before, and, I'll reiterate that. Thanks.
And the community can weigh in, because what we've done is we've set aside a block of money, whether it be 250,000, 350,000, and how those fees are going to be spent hasn't been determined yet by the board, and I'm sure that we will be hearing from, members of the community, as the supervisor had with the fire department in training on how to address a fire at a solar farm, or things of that nature, that as the community approaches the supervisor's office and says, we would like to tap into some of that money and fix Bayberry Park, which is what happened with the last community benefit fund round, or to create the trail at Sharpers Hill, you know, which is something that we had gotten a letter from the Jamesport Civic Association about today, that the board will be weighing that, and the board will make a decision to spend that money individually as it comes out of the fund. So, and that'll be based on community input.
Well, I think if we can figure out a way to have a time when the community has an opportunity to talk to us or make suggestions at a meeting, that would be great.
Okay, anyone else? Chip, in the waiting room? No, and I agree with you, Catherine, next time around, this is not the only community benefit, monetary, distribution that will be afforded to the town. There'll be others, and it's a great idea. This is a good start, and, we just enhance it, we'll make it better.
Yep.
So,
And I will be, if I could just say, I will be sworn in at Riverhead Town Hall on January 5th for my assembly seat, and I will take seat in Albany on January 6th. So I invite you all to come via Zoom, and, the Honorable Judge Harkin will be swearing me in, and the town board will be here, and I will give my speech then as to what a pleasure it's been serving all of you these past 11 years.
Jody, the 5th is what day of the week?
That is
Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday, okay.
It's the first organization meeting where you do all the salaries and stuff. I think you'll go on last, right, Jody?
Yes.
That way you can enjoy, and so if you wanna add anything to that meeting, let us know, everyone. Good?
Yeah, this is our last, town board meeting until, the new year. We do have a work session, but I just wanna wish our community a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and, stay safe, everybody.
Great. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting. Can I have a first and a second to close this town board meeting, please?
Motion?
I'll second.
All in
last
favor?
time.
For the last time. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Everyone be safe, and please watch our website. We have a storm coming, as we said earlier, and we'll be giving you, updates every few
I'd like
hours.
to cover that.
Thank you, be safe again, and, if you have any problems, please reach our office. Thank you.
It's good with the blonde hair.